is that when you have a prospect, you bring in someone else to talk with your prospect. You bring in a sponsor or an upline leader to communicate and share with your prospect. You bring in a third party. Third party is very, very, very powerful. It's very important. And I'm going to share with you a couple of thoughts, a couple of ideas with respect to how you can do that, and it'll add a new dimension to your business. Now, I know many of you have heard the importance of three-way calls and all that before, maybe meeting with a prospect, but many people, and I have found this to be true sometimes in our own business and with me, is that we forget about this and we try to go it alone and try to bring prospects in on our own. And again, we can certainly do that, but we reduce our effectiveness. And then the question is, what are we teaching prospects? We want to be able to teach them philosophies that will duplicate down through our organizations. So let me give you a couple of thoughts, if I could, with respect to third party. Obviously, when I'm talking about third party, I'm talking predominantly about utilizing three-way calling, or utilizing now the concept of group messaging that you can do. Even getting together with someone. If you all live in the same city, you can get together with your prospect and your sponsor or upline leadership for coffee, or you can get together for breakfast or lunch, a meeting of some sort in person. But here's what I would strongly suggest. We want to have a business that's highly duplicatable. We want our business to be tool-driven. And at the same time, we want to make sure that we're effective and we're efficient in how we're doing things. What you want to make sure that you do is you have your prospect already dialed into some of your basic tools first before trying to go to third party. If you don't do this and you just bring a prospect to your sponsor, your upline leadership cold, then your sponsor, your upline leadership has to start from square one and begin to tell the story, and the business breaks down and becomes less duplicatable, and you're not being as efficient as you can be. If you have a tool, whether it be a video or an audio overview or something that tells your story and gives your message, maybe some documents that you can get them, be sure you do that first before moving to the three-way call, in my view, in my opinion, because you want your prospect to have a good idea of the details first, so that you're not spinning your wheels and causing your sponsor, your upline leadership, to have to start from square one. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up on the video here. And keep in mind, at some point, you will be, if not already, the sponsor of the upline leadership. Do you want people bringing people to you that haven't even looked at anything yet, and you have to start at square one? So tool-driven business, make sure that they've been exposed to presentation material first. My preference is always that the prospect comes to me after they've been through some of the presentation process, and then I'm going to come in and kind of help after that. And so a three-way call is still kind of my favorite. If people are in the same city as me, I like to get together and meet with them, because I still believe that relationships are critically important. I still believe that you want to try to get with people. That's the most effective way to build a team and to build a bond and build a relationship. If that's not practical because of distance and location or geography, then a three-way call, in my opinion, is great, because you're all together, you're on the phone, you're communicating. If you can't do that, and I realize that sometimes even today a three-way call is not practical because of schedules and things, the next best thing you can do, thanks to technology, is now to start a group chat with Facebook Messenger. And I love this because not only can you introduce someone to your sponsor or upline leadership in a group message, but you also have, aside from the messaging options to communicate, there's an audio option where you can literally communicate via audio message. It's not the same thing as being there live, but at least they can hear your sponsor, your upline leadership's voice. It helps it to become more personal. And it's very effective and efficient, and because there's a thread, it will stay there. So if the schedules don't mesh and you can't do a three-way call or meet, you could do a group chat. And with Messenger, it's almost like you did the three-way call, only it comes in segments when people could make it based on their schedule. And it stays there. It's a dynamic tool, and you should be using it in your business. Now, don't use it instead of doing a three-way call. If you can always do the three-way call where you're live, try to go for that. If you find that the schedules won't permit, then utilize the Messenger. The point is, you want that third party injected into the process with your prospect. Let me give you a few reasons why before we conclude. And by the way, if you have any thoughts or ideas, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to be able to interact with you with respect to this. I find that I learn a lot of ideas just, as we interact and we mastermind on this kind of stuff. But let me give you some reasons why. Why do you use third party? Well, first and foremost, and I'm taking a couple of notes here, social proof. When you have a prospect one of the things in the mind of your prospect is, can I do this and are other people doing it? Is this real? Is this real? And if your prospect can be connected to other people that are doing it, that believe in the product and that believe in the opportunity, that to them is going to make it more real. It's called social proof. If they see other people are doing it, then they're more likely to do it. Another thing is it helps them to validate in their mind that it's real. Okay, it helps them to validate that it's real. It helps to get questions answered. Now, maybe you're new in the business and you don't know how to answer all the questions just yet. Your prospect may have some questions. By connecting your prospect to a sponsor or someone who's in the upline leadership, the questions that your prospect needs answered can be answered that way. So it gets them the information they need. Now, keep in mind, remember what I stated earlier, make sure you go through the process first. Make sure that you utilize your video or your presentation mechanism first. That should take away most of the questions. That should answer most of the questions. But what you want to make sure that you do is afterwards, this third party can help to answer any remaining questions that they might have, moving them closer to getting involved with you as a customer or as a business builder. Here's another important point. It's a training mechanism. When you bring a prospect to your sponsor, upline leadership, who's been successful, and they don't have to be successful to do this, by the way, just for the social proof alone is really, really important. But if you do have someone that's successful and you're coming up in the business, you're observing what they're saying to prospects. You're observing how they're answering prospects. So it's a training ground for you, and it's also a training ground for the prospect who hasn't even joined yet. So third party, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a call, whether it's a group chat, can be an awesome training ground. And here's another thing that I want to point out to you in conclusion, is that it shows your prospect that there is a system of support. Your prospect is always going to be asking themselves, can I do this? Will this work for me? Can I make this a success? If they see that there's a system or a platform of support where they can tap into people that have maybe been around a little longer than them, if they see that they can tap into a system working with people who have become successful, it makes them feel better about themselves doing it. It shows them that there's a system with some support infrastructure. And when they see that, again, it moves them closer to believing that they can do it and that they can become successful. So just a real quick live stream for you here. I wanted to share the power of third party, whether it's a meeting, a three-way call, a group chat, why you want to do it, why it's important to do it. Don't neglect this in your business. If you neglect this in your business, it's going to bring your ratios down. I promise you, if you make this part of your system, you're going to be far more effective and efficient in building and developing your team, creating more volume, creating more duplication, and creating more leaders within your group.